Hello. Okay. I'll have to adjust this a little bit. Can never really get a good gauge of how this will look. Let's see. Okay. Actually, might raise this up a little bit. Sorry. Up close and personal here. Hello. Welcome. I am having a great day. Glad you're here, ready to go. I like that. Okay, I'm just kind of adjusting. Sorry, I adjusted beforehand, but the video kind of shifts. Wonderful. Okay. Great. So before I get started on the work, I was just going to do a quick update and brief on the process here. So for the viewers who have never seen a remote energy healing, what this process is instead of working directly on a client, what I do is connect energetically with the client wherever they are in the world. And by doing that, I can then use this surface as my imaginary client, my remote client. And I connect with their energy and I can feel all the, the energetic blocks. I can check all the chakras and do all that work. And I think I go into a little bit more detail in the previous video, and I won't really get into that in this one. I think we'll probably just go ahead and get started because I know our person, Ollie, is here, and we'll just hop right in. Okay, so before I even get on to a session, I'm just going to keep probably adjusting this a little bit. Before I do a session, I connect energetically with my own energy, with the guides and the higher vibrational beings that I work with. I make sure the room is a very safe space energetically. I encapsulate the room. I actually like to create almost like an egg-shaped dome is what I like to work with in energetically. And so I just get all of my unseen helpers geared up and ready. And then when I connect in with the client, I connect in with them and I ask that their guides, their loved ones who are always like there assisting them, are ready to help support the working, and that everything is in my highest and best good and in their highest and best good. And then we get started. So we will go ahead and get started. So I'm going to be quiet for a couple minutes while I connect in with your energy, Ollie. Okay, I'm connecting in. I did connect with you earlier today just to get a feel for you before the session. And I'm feeling you again. So what I'm experiencing is kind of a level of like seriousness. I guess that's the best way I could describe it. Just feeling like very serious. And maybe like you're definitely ready to receive it, but like holding on ready, or like you're gripping, you're ready to you're very serious about this process, which is, it is a serious process, and that's fine. So that's what I'm picking up on first. Okay. I'm sensing like you have a lot of clarity of mind. Like you're probably a very focused person. And I'm sensing a lot of like inner intensity. It's interesting. All right, let's go ahead and check your chakras. Okay. So the root is closed. Sacral is closed. Solar plexus is closed. Heart is closed. Throat is closed. Third eye is closed. Crown is closed. And that's totally fine. Actually, when I woke up and I did my chakras, all my chakras were closed this morning. So it's really not a big deal. It's just we like to have them open. And when we realize that we ourselves can do it too, and when we actually realize how much better we feel when our chakras are open, then it kind of becomes a priority of, like, instead of reaching for a coffee or something to like fill that discomfort, we just open all our chakras and then can feel pretty good. So next I'm going to go ahead and feel over your energetic or your more of your emotional body. So what I'm feeling here is, sorry, I have a bit of a head cold, so sorry about that. There is a tendency to hold a lot of your, they're not really like anxiety or worries, just your, you spend a lot of time in your mind and you try to think your way probably through anything. You feel like you can solve the problem. And right now you're holding a lot of that pressure in your lower, like your lower belly. That's kind of like where you hold that. Yeah, overall I feel a lot of rigidity. Um, I would assume that you really like to be in control of your situations. As we do our work with spiritual things, spiritual workings, we start to realize that, well, yes, we can like be in full control of ourselves, and that is definitely one way to live. Sometimes when we decide with our mind to make that shift and go into partnership with spirit, with the universe, with the unseen things, we start to realize that we can kind of let go of that need to control as much because we're actually in partnership with something much bigger and with a much bigger perspective of our lives. And we can be given the things that we need without having to force it. Excuse me. Sorry. So that's something to think about. I'm definitely sensing a lot of rigidity and that desire for control. And we're going to see if we can kind of work with that to loosen that up. But I don't want to force that on you because obviously there is a sensation of safety within that control. So I'll be asking and seeing, what I can do and what I cannot do. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting to have issue with this head cold. So sorry if I'm coughing a little bit. Okay, so first I'm going to see what I can actually do. I might actually, I'm going to see if I can mute this so I can real quick cough. I'm actually going to step out of the room just to cough for a moment. Sorry. Okay, if I was doing a live session, I definitely would have canceled today, but I am fine. Alrighty. I think what we'll do is we'll start by just opening the chakras, and I'll see what I come across as I go. And I do this by using a Reiki symbol and then rotating my hand in a clockwise position or rotation over the chakra points. And as I do this, I sense if there's any resistance or if I get any extra information as I go. In the solar plexus, I feel a lot of the maybe it's the idea of like what a man is. I know Ollie is a man. So there's this idea of like what the big man looks like, and there's this idea of being in control. So that's sitting in the solar plexus. And that control, so I'm working on the heart. Being in that state of control does make things of the heart a little bit more difficult because the heart is full of very fluid emotions. Emotions aren't really something that we can control, or our loved ones aren't really something we can control. So there's it's a little bit of at odds, that energy, with having like an open heart. Because we have to be okay with receiving things. So when we are just open to receiving, we can't really control that. So that's a bit of a lesson, something to maybe think about. There are definitely areas in life that it might be good to start to practice letting go of that need to control. For one, the heart here, and I am feeling it shift a little bit. That is one that doesn't really communicate in that language. So exploring maybe like with a pet or something that feels safe where you can't really get hurt, opening yourself to receive whatever flows into you without controlling the situation. even if you were to go outside and see something really beautiful, like you're just receiving that. It's not really, controlling the situation, is just open, just receiving. It might be good to kind of test that out with yourself, practice in that way. Okay, I'm working on the throat, but I get a lot of sense of the shoulders, like carrying this. Often we carry like the weight of responsibility. That's what it feels like. A bit of responsibility carried on your shoulders. That's triggering the heart, even talking about it. All right. So if we wanted to talk about like the shadow work around the need to control, usually it stems from childhood. I'm not going to go deep in, but situations in childhood make us feel more safe or feel like we can receive love more easily when we can be in control. Also, so when we feel more safe, maybe circumstances like we needed to literally be in control to be safe. There's also the expectations that we're given, the images of what is right at a certain age. As we age, get older, what is certain phases in life look like, and we kind of carry those burdens forward. So as a follow-up to this, I would recommend that you, if you want, you can explore like why do you need to be in control so much? Is that something you can kind of let go of now that you're older, now that you're an adult? Do you need to hold on so tightly to that control? And we could talk about like, why is letting go of control important? And I brought up how when we work with the universe in partnership, we do kind of have to let up control. We do have full control over what we request from the universe. So you think about what we can manifest. We can say like, I would like to have this experience. It's like the goal setting thing. And we are in control. We have free will and we can do that. The part we don't really have control over, though, is how the universe, how the world around us is going to do its part, how it's going to give it to us, how we will receive that. So when we are very stuck in a state of control, we almost prevent some of the goodness that can come to us. We kind of block it, because abundance can come to us in so many ways, and it may not be that very narrow idea of what we have. So that would be a reason to kind of explore, like, do I really need this much control? Can I start to like lift that? And I'm going to see if we can lift that a little bit now that we've talked about it for a little while. Just to like loosen it up a little, okay? And it could just be for today. Like, try it out just for today. And if it feels good, then you can, keep doing the work to let it go. And if you want to be in control again, you can definitely always do that. So we're going to start with taking the burden off the shoulders. This is a blend of societal pressures, and I want to say like childhood experiences, maybe expectations from family or culture. mostly societal pressures. It's tapped into like the greater like human collective, this pressure. It also could be pressure like I know a lot of people feel like they have the pressure of the world on their shoulders, like they need to do something. But what do they need to do? And they take that on as an individual, not realizing they're not alone. You know, there's many, many people doing their part. To make it better. Mind the background noise there. All right. All right, that's feeling a bit lighter. Okay, so what I'm sensing is like, well, how do I let go of control? How do we do that? And I'm getting the imagery so you can think of like a plant. How a plant, it has its form, it has its structure, it has its whole life, what it is, how it will grow, and it has a form, it has that. But you know, it can bend, it can move. So we can have control over our physical body, but we can be loose, okay? So kind of adding in, picturing here, maybe we could just kind of like take off. It's almost like, how do I want to describe it? Not like armor, but like, trying to describe what I see in my mind's eye. Like bricks or uh, heated clay, like a ceramic, like you're covered in a ceramic tile almost like. So we'll go ahead and just like remove that, and then you can still have your form, but you'll be able to be more fluid in life and situations. You'll be able to bend. So I'm sensing that we're kind of shifting things. We're kind of exposing what's underneath that protective. I'm going to call them tiles. Protective tiles. Okay, yeah. I bet you're already breathing like a little bit easier too. Yeah, that's another aspect too, is our breath. When we are so focused on control, we don't allow ourselves to breathe deeply. Like our lungs, we can breathe really deeply and like fill up our stomachs. When we're so tight and focused, it's very restrictive. So allowing that breath to come in. You know what I would like to do for you, because you're used to having something kind of protect you, I'd like to focus on bringing your aura out a little bit and maybe enhancing it as an energetic shield. So you feel like you're, you know, safe and in control of your area, but you're not restricting yourself. So that's where we're going to go next. First, I'm going to see where your auric field is sitting. Yeah, it's very tight to you. Okay. So we're just going to work to pull that out a little bit. And strengthen it at the same time. we can actually take up more space and make more of an impact on the world and the things that we want to, change around ourselves. When we're not, tightly controlling ourselves, when we are full of our presence, of our soul energy, we actually are more in control than when we restrict that, and we can make more of an impact the way that we truly want to. This is feeling a lot better. There's definitely a higher vibrational shift happening. You might just enjoy the experience of not being so restricted. It's probably been a while since you've really kind of let loose. Almost like the sensation of when we like float in water and we just, if we feel safe doing that, we can relax and just let ourselves flow. So I'm going to check the chakras to see how they're doing after this. Root is open and spinning. Sacral is open and spinning. Solar plexus open and spinning. Heart open and spinning. Throat open and spinning. Third eye open and spinning. Crown open and spinning. Wonderful. Now I'm just going to ask, we've expanded you, we've made it so you can breathe. I'm going to ask your guides and, your higher self what else I can do before we finish up. So often when I do this, I get a really lovely message. And this one, I'm hearing, tell him he's a blessed child of God. So that's nice to hear. But is there anything I can do? Okay. So what I'm hearing is to help to clear any of those worries in your mind. So just offering, I guess I'll do the energy of Seiheki. Might be hearing my dog drinking water downstairs. So as a practical summary of how to accomplish this state again, your chakras opened very easily, truly. So I believe that you could do that work on your own. I do have a video on here that goes over how to do that. So you could work on doing that. And what you may find is that when all your chakras are open and spinning, And you can do that with a pendulum like I do, or you don't have to. You can just work on them until, like, for a few minutes until you kind of get a sense for what it feels like when they're open. But when you are really full of your own energy, the need for control shifts because you feel more at one with everything around you, and you realize that you're always in control at a much higher degree than you realize. And when we constrict, and which is really what we do when we're forcing control, is we are restricting ourselves, that we inadvertently end up with less control. So what I'm saying though is you can open up your chakras on your own, and you might feel like you don't need to do those same habits and patterns as you did before. I would explore, what are the areas where you feel like you need to control, like do the shadow work around that. You could journal about it, and begin to decide to let those things go. I am going to do another video about shadow work specifically, and make a guided meditation to help with that type of work. Those will probably be available in the next couple weeks, and you could do those and focus on that topic. And I know a lot of people, I don't know if this is true for you, but a lot of people, when they want to turn off all that control, they turn to like alcohol or drugs, or whatever coping mechanism helps them get out of their head. When we choose a spiritual route of doing it, we don't really need to rely on those things, which is really helpful. I used to, I never really struggled with control much, but I would use alcohol as my kind of escape from emotions, is what I would do. But when we are more in ourselves, we don't really need to do that. We're not really drawn to do it. Okay, I'm just gonna brush off any extra that I can at the moment, and then I'll go ahead and close. I like it. You feel a lot more spacious, so that's pretty cool. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna enhance this auric field just a little bit more as my last. Okay, and then I'm gonna ground you. And I said this in the last video, if we don't ground our remote energy healing people, then they feel really spacey for the rest of their day. I want you to be in your body, but I want you to still feel very spacious. Okay, and then I just seal it with Chokure, is the symbol I know from Reiki training. Okay, and then I'm just gonna disconnect because we're finished with Ollie here. I say thank you for the work. Thank you for all the helpers. Okay. All right, and then I'm just gonna adjust the camera, and we can go ahead and, oops, sorry, hear anything from Ollie, and go ahead and open up, sorry, struggling, there we go, for questions. And I'm gonna move this actually because my internet connection is better right here. Okay. I'm just gonna check over to see what I missed. Okay, so Ollie says that he did feel the energy shifting around his head and body. Wonderful. It is cool to experience on the other side when, you know, it's not happening right where you are. So to be able to feel it is always really, really cool, I think. All right. I am with a little bit of a head cold. Sorry. But still happy to be here. So glad some of you are here with me. If any of you have any questions about remote healing, I did just put out a video about shadow work. Anything related to that we could talk about. Psychic gifts, anything at all is fine. Or if Ollie wants to share it all, okay. Ollie says, thank you so much, Nicole. I feel blessed to receive your healing and to guide me to let it flow. Yeah, I bet you feel a lot different now than when we started. When we started, it was very, very serious, very heavy and restricted. Not really heavy, just very clamped down. I'm glad you do feel better. And you can, actually, so the cool thing about this type of work is you could watch this same video if you're feeling like you're really like overwhelmed, similar, like you're kind of stuck again in that control phase. You can rewatch this and it will probably have a very similar effect for you. So it's almost like you could get another dose of it when you need it just by doing this, watching it again. So that's a pretty cool thing. Cool takeaway for people. Well, you specifically. I actually did watch a healing session before from somebody else, and as an empath, I felt all of it as I was watching. So that was pretty cool. I was connecting in with the person it was a live client, so there was actually a client there, and I was connecting with her energy so I could feel everything. So it's kind of cool, the things that we can experience through the healing of others and this type of content. Okay. He says that was something he was going to ask me, so that's great. Yeah. Yep. Try to think if there's anything I want to chat about. I don't have much. Like I said, I'm getting over a head cold, so I'm not as chatty as I normally am. But I'm definitely here for questions if anybody has any. The cool thing about doing this type of work is every client is different, and the experience that on my side, it's really, really interesting. It never gets old because every single client is different. It might be kind of a cool side. I guess I'm doing these to promote people to get into healing also, to find healers, and then also if, you know, the world was full of more people who are doing this type of work, that would be amazing. And it's really, really cool work. And the cool thing is you don't have to know ahead of, like, you don't have to know these charts of, you know, if the person's heart, if their heart feels clogged, what do I do? You don't have to really worry about that. The only thing you work on is yourself and your ability to open your intuition and to be able to receive information, because in a session I don't necessarily have ideas. I am open enough where I can connect in and just know what to do. I have not you know, like I said, there's not like books of, you know, information that you have to study to do this type of work. But I do have many years of developing that level of intuition. But I think with play and exploration, anybody can develop it too. even with like testing with friends or family or pets, we can all start exploring what it's like to interact with things and their energy. All right. Doesn't seem like we have many questions today. Many or any. I am glad, though, to be with you all, just the same. I think I'll wait. Okay, great, a question. Alrighty, I have a question. I had a weird dream today that kind of scared me, and I woke up seeing this face figure, like when you see a light, excuse me, a light and end up seeing the image wherever you change. Oh, okay, so like the faded image of a face. Excuse me. Let's see. Well, I have not spent a lot of time doing dream interpretation. That is something that, for me, because I haven't done it intuitively, um, I would always like research those in books, ironically. Um, for that type of thing, I would ask you, what is your interpretation of it? Sometimes pretty much every time, when we receive a message or a sign or something that happens in a dream, it's kind of for us to seek out that interpretation. Obviously, you're coming to me to offer my perspective, but I can't give you a definite perspective um, on that. Having a question, though, in your mind, like if you really wanted to solve that mystery, like what I would suggest is kind of asking the universe, like, all right, tell me what that meant. Give me more information about that. And then start to watch for anything that kind of catches your eye, any particular words or phrases or signs or symbols that pop up to you throughout your day. And then you can kind of start to piece this like mystery together to build that understanding around it. At the present moment, I don't have anything for you though. Do we have any other questions? Okay, says thank you. I think we're all kind of a quiet bunch today. And that's okay. Next week I will be more chatty, more healthy. My son is in kindergarten now, and so we're starting to get those regular head colds. Do binaural beats help with yeah, binaural. I played around with those years ago when I was first working with my intuition and opening like my third eye. There are so many available. Yeah, I mean, to help with dream work or to help with, I guess, do they help with what specifically? I'm sure they do. I know on YouTube there's tons of people who produce binaural beats and have specific purposes behind them. I haven't played around with them, like I said, for years, and I really only listened to a few. Um, but there's so many cool things available to us. It's all just like experimentation and continually growing and learning and trying. Pretty much anything is, most things are worth just exploring to see if they will help you get to your goal. Okay, the dream. So I was worried about the dream and decided to put one of them on, but wasn't sure if it could help me. Oh, okay, with your dream interpretation. Let's see. I guess I could attempt to tap in intuitively. I kind of shy away. So for me personally, there was a time years ago when I was channeling. So I would connect up and pull down just information. And I do that now with my work, but I keep it very limited just because I guess I learned to respect that work more. But I can, since I just tuned in with your energy, let me see if I can receive anything from your guides. And I would take this, not as a word of truth, but just something to think about. So let's see here. Okay, I'm hearing the figure in your mind has to do with your concept of self. Who is the face behind the mask? Then it gets a little dark. who is it says, who is the demon in your heart? Basically, to me, it's like kind of an invitation to shadow work, is what it sounds like to me. I know. So, so when we receive messages, it's like it's coming through me. So it's I have to interpret, and whatever comes through, it's not necessarily exactly what your guides would say to you. It's just like whatever's coming through the channel. It's like, whoa. um so but as a channel or someone who receives messages, we are really influenced by the content we read, like what type of books we read, what type of shows we read. All these things kind of play into how that person will interpret. And this is true of any kind of psychic work. If you're working with a medium, people who talk to those who have passed on, uh, or just a straight up channel, like it really, you're working through this instrument, and the instrument's perspectives kind of flavor the thing. But yeah, for me, I would just say that's like a an invitation to explore what is underneath the face that you're giving to the world, an invitation to shadow self, and like what's in there, what's going on in there. Which some people are very nervous about that type of work, because it is digging in a way that they've never done before, and it can seem scary, but it's not so bad. Do we have anything else? If not, I probably am going to close up today, just because I am a little sick. I'd rather not have a big sneeze on camera. All right. So I think that's all today. Thank you so much, Ollie, for letting us experience, what we saw and needed to do for you on the remote healing session. We got to see he was a person who had a lot of control, and we just kind of like let that go and expanded. Um, Thank you. Yeah. Sorry. Maybe next time I'll hesitate if I'm feeling a little under the weather. But next week I'll be bright and shiny, and we'll be here again at noon Eastern Standard Time for another live healing and question and answer. And I'll probably, I guess, bring something too to chat about. Usually I'm more spontaneous, so I can fill the gaps if needed. But yeah, until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.